All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sandra Sheffner. I'm the president of the Democratic Women's Club of Greater Broward. And I actually have the pleasure to interview Beau Simon. He's a candidate for Soil and Water Supervisor, seat 5. And I have to tell you that I really didn't know much about this position until I found out about this young man through another candidate that I spoke to a couple weeks ago, Elijah Manley, right? And so he's the one who kind of hit me to Beau Simon and what he is that he's doing. And we realized that a lot of people don't know what this position is for, because as Beau was telling me before we started, is that it's a seat that usually goes unopposed. But what I'm going to have him do is introduce himself to everybody, and then he's going to tell us what it is that Soil and Water do, and then we'll talk about why it is that he'll be the best candidate for that.
Well, thank you first so much for having me. Once again, my name is Beau Simon. I'm a candidate for the Broward County Soil and Water Conservation District. And what the Soil and Water Conservation District is it's an elected body of 5 different countywide supervisors. And they're all elected and they serve 4-year terms. Every county in the state of Florida has a soil and water supervision district. And their job is definitely just to promote and foster new ways for us to take care of the environment and to have that community aspect. Unfortunately, here in Broward County, we don't hear much from our soil and water supervision district, and it's kind of had a low radar for the past couple of years. So hopefully once elected, that's something that we are going to fix. We're not on the primary ballot, we're on the November ballot, which was November 3rd, 2020. So hopefully that's something that people this year, due to vote by mail, are going to take the time to research all the candidates and see who's the best fit for the job.
And I think it's cool that we're talking to you now, because at least we're at least giving people the information so they can know about it. And so not only will they have an opportunity to research the candidates, they'll get to know exactly what soil and water does, and why it's important, and like how they can help contribute, do whatever about that. So first tell us, what if you're elected, and when you're elected, what will your responsibilities be for soil?
So it's kind of, I want to say every soil and water district in the state kind of does their own thing with different projects. The school board does education and city commission manages the city budget. But with soil and water, the topic is so broad because essentially soil and water, you think about the environment, which is a very broad topic because there are so many different environmental causes there are, whether it's wildlife conservation, climate change, different things like that. So the topic is very broad. Once elected, there are a lot of things I would like to see go through, but my first year in office is definitely going to be the rebranding of the Soil and Water District. This district is in dire need of some serious community outreach, community help, and community rebranding, whether it's a new logo, a new website, putting this district supervisors more in the public eye. Those are things we definitely need to be doing, because right now, if you've ever seen the show Parks and Recreation, it's a very funny show. It's on Netflix. Basically, I would like to say that the Broward County Soil and Water Conservation District is almost like the Parks and Recreation of Broward County. There are a lot of people who seek that soil and water districts be dissolved in the state of Florida, that they're not important and that they don't have any true meaning. And I want to change that, because when we talk about the environment, we talk about coming into this world and all the different things going on, a lot of times the environment is the epicenter of all that. How can we contribute more? How can we recycle better? And it's just simple things that we could be doing. And that's what our soil and water district is tasked with educating us about. And unfortunately, the district has 0 funds. About a couple years back, about 10 years back, the district went bankrupt. After having a very nice budget to work with, the district went bankrupt, and the supervisors on the district have not raised any money since then. So a lot of the projects they put on is coming out of their own pocket. The Soil and Water District has no ability to tax. So a lot of it is grant funding, whether it be from Tallahassee or the county government. That's where their funding should be coming from, but it's not. And that's the big problem, is also that our county government has taken on a lot of the responsibility, when in reality, the Soil and Water Board should be doing that. But unfortunately, the district has no money. A lot of the things that the supervisors do comes out of their own pocket. And that's something we definitely need to change. There are a lot of people in Tallahassee and lawmakers who promised that this upcoming session, they would file bills to eliminate soil and water boards statewide. And that's just something we can't have happen, because this is such an important office that really has gone on so unnoticed in Broward County. And that's seriously time for change.
Okay, so you said a couple of things that I want to talk about. So you said you have some ideas and you want to educate the people. Okay, so we've all been stuck at home since March, right?
Yeah.
And so I was one of those people that used to eat out all the time. You know, you could probably tell. So I used to eat out all the time. And now that I'm home, I'm forced to kind of figure out my nutrition. And then since my activity level has also gone down, I've also figured out I had to eat a little differently too, right? I'm going to make a point. So the point is, like, I've been doing like making smoothies, right? And you know, like you're making smoothies, you're juicing, and I feel bad about the stuff that I have to throw away, right? And so like it's been in my mind to like, I'm like, I need to compost, because I don't, you know, I have friends who do a lot of composting, you know, they have the system because they garden, and I just keep feeling guilty. And like, or sometimes if you buy the fruit and if you don't eat it right away in a couple of days, it's going bad, and then it's like, wow, I gotta throw this in the garbage. We should be doing something with that. Is that part of the education that you think soil and water needs to do? Because a lot of us, I realize how much stuff we waste. Like we waste a lot of stuff. Like,
so there is a lot of waste.
About that.
And a lot of waste does come with that, and you're 100% correct. And I love to eat out all the time too. You can probably tell as well. But I think me personally, me and my mom started composting during quarantine, because we were buying a lot more fresh fruits, because a lot of the times when you eat out, they are cooking with fresh foods. So if you want to come and bring that into your house, you probably want to start composting eggshells, coffee grinds, carrot skin, potato skin, all these simple things that typically, you know, when we peel the potato, we're peeling it over the trash can. Start peeling into a bowl. Start peeling your carrots into a bowl. And you could take, whether it's a plastic bag or, you know, lettuce. The way I do it is I have the lettuce that comes in the reusable bag with the seal.
Yeah.
We use that for compost. So we put the coffee grinds in there, and then every morning when we have our daily egg, that eggshell goes in. And whatever we make for dinner, those scraps are going back into the compost. And that you can take right to your backyard and use as fertilizer. And I'm telling you, your plants will grow larger, healthier, and more beautiful than ever. Because that compost is so rich and so, it's like almost like you're giving back, and it just starts this little cycle. And I really encourage anyone to start composting. And that is something the district really, once in office, I want to look at, and I want the district to be on the same page, because a lot of times everyone has their own version of what they consider good for the environment, but really what we need is a concise message to put out there. And composting and simple things at home are definitely a part of that message that I definitely want to put out there.
So in order for us to do that, because I really want to do it, but I was like, do I need another gadget, or can I just like put these things together and they themselves create the compost? So do you need is there something else that you need to purchase? You know, because my friends that had it, they really compost. Like they kind of used everything, right? So I don't want to get into all those details so we don't freak everybody out. So they just, they just used everything. So is it something you need to get, or can you just literally use the remnants of like the fruits and vegetables that we have at home and just bag it up and then go in, or you need to add something else?
You can use the remnants of what you have at home.
Okay.
Composting is free, and that's the way most people do it. And yes, there are people who get super high tech with it and develop a whole community garden basically for their composting. I'm not asking people to do that. I get it. It's a little hard. I mean, if you're in quarantine and you want to start a project, but I want to promote simple things that are first free of cost and second easy, because I know we have so many working class people here in Broward County who people aren't sitting home all day. Even when we come out of quarantine, people have to get back to work. So it's definitely things that we want to integrate, or I want to integrate into people's daily lives that they can do. So it's hassle-free and it just becomes a habit.
Yeah.
You don't feel out of place doing these things. They're just things that you tend to typically do. And even those small things, if everybody does those small things, it creates a big effect.
Well, yeah, definitely. And I'm telling you, I've just been like, I have to figure out what else I can do because I don't want to keep throwing this stuff away. So I'm glad. So I do have those resealable bags. And then so I'm going to start like just putting everything in there and then take them in the backyard. I don't really have like a legit garden, but there are some stuff that grows and, you can just put it back to the earth, give it back to the earth
Well,
instead.
I always recommend even things like you have like apples, you could probably put the apple seeds back in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Different things like that is always just something, and you'll start to see little sprouts. To me, that's my favorite, when a plant starts to sprout, because that means something's going on down there.
Okay. So all right. So I'm glad I spoke to you about that, and that is something I want to do. The other thing you said they broke, right?
They're
So
broke.
they're broke. So that's not a good thing. And it seems though, like in the environment is such a big thing. There are a lot of agencies. There are a lot. I think Jeff Bezos' ex-wife just gave a whole bunch of money to a whole bunch of people for all different types of reasons. So like, what are you gonna do to try to get grants? Not relying on the state. You may have to look into maybe private agents, companies, or different things like that. So what efforts are you going to make to try to get more money in? Because the environment is a really big, hot issue right now.
Right. And, money makes the world go round. So you said it yourself, they're broke. The general fund is $0. And that to me is quite sad. And so when originally I wasn't going to run for office, I am a part-time student at Florida State University. And so when the idea came about, where does the money come from? So I looked into a lot of the different districts. The money comes from Tallahassee. Where am I part-time? Tallahassee. We need someone representing us. We need someone working with the legislature to file bills that will benefit soil and water districts. And that's what we need. We don't have anyone representing us in Tallahassee right now on behalf of the Broward County Soil and Water Board. And if that's where the money's coming from, we need someone there to make sure we're getting that money. A lot of those organizations, those private organizations we talked about, where do they spend most of their time? Lobbying in Tallahassee. Mm-hmm. Tallahassee is where small governments go to get those funds. And that's where I want to be. And we could get some money from the legislature and get some money from some different organizations that fund other soil and water districts. But first, we need to come up with a plan. What are we selling? It's with every government organization. Municipalities are selling their lifestyle. We want you to come live with us. That's what they're selling. They're like realtors. The school board is selling an education. Every different form of government is trying to appeal to the residents. And that's what we need to do. We need to figure out what we're offering or what we're selling and how we could secure the funds to do that. So once elected, we need to figure out what we're selling, and we're going to take that straight to Tallahassee, and we're going to go get that money because that is desperately what we need.
Okay, all right. So we're going to get him buy-in. So he's already told us that we can help the soil, at least in our yards for now, by just composting the items that we're, because since we're at home and we're generating all of this stuff, we can recycle your plastic. It's crazy how we buy bottled water and we're home, right? We should be able to just use the filter. So, right. So we can recycle our plastics and we can start composting to kind of help the soil out, right? So that's one of the things. So water is a big thing. Who knew water was such a big deal, right? We're worried about, sewers, septic tanks bursting and all of this different stuff. There's a need to go from septic to sewer. Tell people, educate the people about that. And let's talk about what soil and water can do to push forward this effort to, save the water, the
right.
the aquifer.
So definitely one thing, and I'm always guilty of it, is the bottled water. It's something that, I only have it right now because we did prepare for a hurricane really quickly. But I said, we don't feel comfortable buying bottles of water anymore, whether it's hurricane preparedness or whether it's just in a daily lifestyle, because that plastic is going back into the environment one way, whether it's helpful or harmful. So what ends up happening is you could do different tactics. I learned that filling all your bathtubs up with water during hurricane season, instead of going out and buying bottled water, that water is drinkable. So you're able to, have different tactics and ways to do that. So obviously, like you said, water is very important. So what can we do in our daily lifestyles to, kind of reduce our footprint when drinking bottled water or different things like that? What I recommend is always a Brita system, the things that you keep in your refrigerator, a pitcher of water at all times, because if you could take a glass cup and use that instead of opening a new bottle of water, that would be ideal when it comes to not being able to throw that bottle away. But I understand that's not a reality for everybody. So one thing that the Soil and Water District can definitely do, and that I'm going to see to it that we get it done, is this needs to be recycled. Here's the thing. It can't be recycled just like this. This needs to come off. When you recycle a bottle of water, this is not recyclable. So every time you throw that in there, either someone's not going to catch it or they're not going to recycle it. And that goes right into the waste bin. So one really interesting thing that I do to make things always more recyclable, and that's something that everyone can just Google, how to make something more recyclable, is to first always take the cap off your bottle of water. Second, if you're drinking something out of an aluminum can, I know my family we're big Coke drinkers. Mm-hmm. You want to crush those cans. In my garage, I have a little thing. I think it was like $15 on Amazon, and you just pull the lever down and it crushes it for you. That makes first you have more room in your recycling bin for all those goodies. Then you now it makes it easier for them to recycle those things and put them back into the environment in a positive way. So it's really just simple things that we can do. And the town of Davie, I'm giving them a really big shout out here because I love what they've done, is they have kind of like stickers that go on top of all their recycling bins when they send them out into the community. And that tells the resident what can and cannot be recycled. Mm-hmm. And so that is something that I see we work with every municipality. And, once we raise those funds, that's something I think we should be footing the bill for, are those stickers to go on every single recycling bin that says, this is what can be recycled, this is what cannot be recycled. So there are so many things, and I could probably name them off the top of my head, but we'd be here for hours on things that we shouldn't be putting in the recycling bin.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. So why don't you tell us like the few things that we have in our house, right? Like everybody buys milk. We all buy juice, we buy those cartons, we get the Domino pizza boxes and stuff like that. So tell us like what, the normal things that come in, just give us like a short list of what, people can do. Because you've already told us some good stuff, right? So we need to crush the cans for those of us that drink soda. Yeah. I'm not a big soda drinker, but my daughter likes ginger ale. So I'll have her crush her cans, that we can, when we're recycling the plastic bottles, take off the caps and just put the caps in a regular garbage can and only just a bottle in the recycling. So tell us a few more things, like maybe 4 or 5 items that, we use just normally from grocery shopping that we can recycle.
But it's, like you said, it's also the tactics. So like you said, that Domino's pizza box, mm-hmm. when you're recycling it, wash it down first, because that cardboard has all that grease on it. And that is going to all your other recycled goods. So if you just take your kitchen sponge and just kind of wipe it down, and if the cardboard's wet, that's fine. It's going to get that way anyway. But all that grease is not good for there anyway. Like I said, the bottle caps are easy ways to collect. Crushing the cans. There are a lot of fruits, like apple cores, are not recyclable. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people throw it in there anyway. A lot of people throw foods in the recycling bin that should not be in the recycling bin. And that's what happens, because when they come to get your recycling bin, they're taking your whole bin and mixing it in with everybody else's bin. So what happens is if you put a whole bunch of stuff that's not supposed to be in there, you're now first their job gets a little harder because they have to go through everything. Remember, when you are recycling, someone is sifting through all your recyclables, and no one is perfect. So obviously sometimes they're going to miss some things. And so it kind of creates this unfortunate chain effect. You really shouldn't be recycling a lot of foods. You should be composting. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think people need to start, instead of throwing foods away, composting. a lot of times your recycling is mainly for your plastics and for your aluminums and for some paper goods. So I think there are different types of papers you can recycle and there are different types of papers you cannot recycle.
Okay, so all right, so let's talk. We're gonna talk a little bit about that. So, what about my milk carton, right? Because you know we drink almond milk. Almond milk. Are those cartons recyclable? Can you put those?
I believe they are. I'm not 100% sure. I know I drink out of the plastic ones and those are recyclable.
Okay, and then the other. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah.
Okay, and then the other thing is like, and I'm not dissing nobody that's sending me all these campaign flyers, but I'm getting my mailbox is literally full of campaign flyers, right? So can we once we figure out who we're gonna vote for, and I feel sorry for the people that's spending all the money sending these things to everyone's house, but I mean it's part of what you have to do. But I don't need to save them for the rest of my life, right? So can we recycle those campaign flyers that are coming in the mail?
What I've noticed is a lot of cardstock and a lot of glossy paper is not recyclable because it's not natural paper. It's heavily infiltrated with other things. The gloss they put on top of the campaign flyer. The cardstock is being made not from natural paper. So like natural paper could just be, if you've ever go to Office Depot, and I only shop recyclable paper. So if I ever print anything out and it doesn't look to par, I know is recyclable, but they should have that little recycling logo on the bottom of those papers. And sometimes you'll see them fully wrapped. I think one of them comes in brown and it's wrapped with the green logo. Yeah. You know when paper is recyclable, and paper that doesn't feel like natural paper is usually not recyclable.
Okay, all right. So most of those flyers we probably, and then they have all the ink and all that other stuff on there too. So we probably can't recycle those.
And the yard signs as well. But like I said, signs don't vote, flyers don't vote, people vote.
Yeah, so you just have to get the word out there and the information. So tell us, besides you said you want to educate the people. Since you're going to be in Tallahassee part-time, you're going to talk with the legislators and try to get money, maybe do like some sort of grant writing. What else is it that Soil and Water worry about? Do you guys deal with waste management at all? Is that part of what you're doing, waste management and all the dumps?
Waste management actually plays no part in the Soil and Water Conservation District in Broward County, but I would like it to. And the reason I'm going to say this is because the other day, a very good friend of mine called me and let me know one of our municipalities is following suit with other municipalities around the county and around the state, and they're discontinuing their recycling programs because people are not putting the right things in the bin. And so then it becomes, I don't want to say a waste of money, but it becomes not useful. And the municipality then has to pay all this money for something that's not actually contributing back to the environment. I would like the Soil and Water Board as a future endeavor to get involved with municipalities on educating their residents on what they should be putting back into their recycling bins and how to start composting. So the reason I mentioned the town of Davie earlier is because they have that kind of like that laminate flyer that goes on top of all their recycling bins. That is something that we should be once funded, footing the bill for all our collaborating municipalities, for us to then go ahead and first get the word out about the Soil and Water Board, but then, well, they go together, but then educate the residents on what they should be putting in there. Because when I saw that my grandmother lives in Davie, I went to her house and every Sunday we have dinner together. I always take out the trash. To see that laminate is more than helpful because there were things on there that most people do think you could recycle, especially the food is one big thing. Most foods aren't natural recyclables. So that is one huge thing that we should be doing. And that is simple education. It's something people see in front of their face every day. We could always put, posts into the community and flyers, but we never know how many people are actually going to reach those or read them. So one big thing is something so convenient is a simple sticker on everybody's recycling bin that we could partner with our cities around the county to do.
Okay. And I was actually just thinking one other thing. So our plastic garbage bags, can we recycle those too? Because sometimes like in recycling, if I'm in the house, I'll put everything in a plastic bag and then put all of that in the recycling bag. So is that recyclable?
I'm not 100% sure. I think you are allowed to because I put mine in the recycling bin. I'm pretty sure you're allowed to do those. They are thin plastic bags. I know heavy plastics that are not natural is a no, but thin plastics are a yes. I put mine in the recycling bin.
Okay, and that was the other thing. So I heard you said that a couple of cities were thinking of like maybe getting rid of their recycling program. I listened to a lot of forums, and I was listening to one. It was one of the east cities, so it was either like Wilton Manors or Oakland. Or it was one of those. It was one of the east cities, and I don't want to say for sure because I can't remember which one it was. And I know they were talking about like something to that effect about like how much it costs for them because they have to get people to sift through the garbage, and they're trying to renew some contract because it's like very expensive to do. So I hear it is what you're saying, because if it's counterproductive, it's like if you're recycling and you're spending all this money just trying to separate out stuff, then it really becomes burdensome on the city. So I heard them talking about something to that effect in terms of how much it costs in order for them to run some of these programs and who's picking.
So unfortunately, many of our cities are starting to have that conversation as we're looking into budgeting for the next year.
Mhm.
Is what money is being wasted, and you want to budget well because the census is coming. Everybody should be filling out their census, by the way, and so you want to have a precise and accurate budget, and you want to know what is being used in the community and what people are using and the programs that they're using. Unfortunately, recycling is a program, it is used, which is great, but it's not used to its full effect. And a big part of recycling is education. And so we need those simple things on our recycling bins. So yeah, a lot of cities are having that conversation, but it's a very easy fix. And if there's any governing body that should really produce the answer to that problem, it should be the Soil and Water District. And that's definitely something I'm going to be seeking to do when elected.
Okay, so the other thing. So do you guys have anything to do with or any input in the problems that they were having with like red ties, blue green algae? Do you have any interaction with Big Sugar and all the runoffs from these big companies? Is that part of what the responsibilities of soil and water?
So the answer is no, because the Soil and Water District in Broward County has virtually no say or no power or no money. So what organization is going to want to work with a governing body that really has no, as I would like to say, pull, So that is the first thing we need to fix, is putting ourselves at the table. And Shirley Chisholm said it best: if you don't have a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. So I have my folding chair in hand, and I'm ready to go sit in on those conversations in Tallahassee.
Okay, but ultimately those are things that you should be able to do, but because we're trying to bring some more life into this to this group agency, then once that happens, then you guys will have more influence to have a conversation with a lot of the big polluters.
That's the goal.
Okay.
But we have to take it one step at a time. So it's kind of like a rebrand, raise money, and get there eventually. So hopefully that's something we would be seeking to do in the next couple of years. We have a lot of other big things ahead of us as well.
All righty. All right. So if people want to help you out, volunteer, donate to your campaign, how would they get in touch with you? Are you on, all social media platforms? How would they get in touch with you?
So right now I'm mainly on Facebook, and my Facebook page is at Beau, BEAU, for Broward, FOR, and Broward. And so my website is also beauforbroward.com, and that's where you could donate, sign up to help, volunteer. I take any type of help because it's desperately needed. Currently, I'm in a really kind of unique race for this seat, so it's definitely something that's needed. I have a lot of experience working with local government. For the past 2 years, I've had a really great opportunity to serve on the Broward County School Board as their student representative, and I was the first person to be reelected to that seat. So I know a lot about the way a budget works, the way to work with local elected officials, the way, how small countywide government should run. And that's definitely what I need to bring to this district. So beauforbroward.com, Beau for Broward on Facebook. And if you want to donate, That would be amazing. We also have a virtual kickoff, 6:30, August 10th on Zoom. And there are going to be some really amazing people there. There are a lot of electeds also going to be there who are supporting me in this race. And that in itself has just been amazing. So there you go.
All righty then. So that's Monday, August the 10th.
Yes, at 6:30.
Okay, so they just you said it's going to be a Zoom meeting, so you'll post
Yeah.
something and they can check out on Facebook what the link is or the meeting code and passwords in order for them to be a part of that.
Yes. So
Okay.
that'll all be posted on the event page.
All right. So tell people when your election is and why they should vote for you.
November 3rd, 2020. And my catchphrase and kind of my motto this whole election has been, let's keep Broward beautiful, and emphasize on the Beau and beautiful, because we are in desperate need of people with energy and charisma ready to take this district to the next level. And I'm ready to bring that for them. So I hopefully can count on your vote then.
All right. That's www.boforbroward.com.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for
Thank
talking
you
with
so
me.
much. No problem. It was an honor to be here.
Yes. Bye-bye.